Biggest question I have is after all these years, how did you decide on Pitt back in the day when you were getting out of high school?
It was a lot. It was a lot that went into the decision. A lot of discussions with my family and my parents, but I really feel like they were a big part of the decision because I had to decide if I wanted to go to a place where I could play for sure and know that I would have a role on the team, or if I could come to a place like Pitt and possibly make the team, possibly not, but just take that chance. And I talked to my parents a lot. I got a lot of advice, prayed a lot about it with my parents and everything. And we just came to the decision that the best thing to do would just be to trust in myself, believe that everything would work out, come to Pitt, and then just go for it. So before that summer of my freshman year, I was just, working out a lot and just trying to get ready for an opportunity where I would get a chance to get on the team. And everything just worked out, thankfully.
I mean, who were
Do you have scholarship offers from other places?
Yeah, I did. I had a lot of offers from a lot of D3 schools. There were a couple NAIA schools in the mix and maybe 1 or 2 D2s. But it was definitely more on like the lower level side, a lot of smaller schools in the Midwest area, especially, and just around Fort Wayne, Indiana, my hometown.
Thank you.
Can that be difficult even if they're at smaller schools to pass up opportunities in places where it's like, hey, you can come in here, you've got a spot on the team. Can it be difficult to pass that up for something that's not a sure thing where you have to take, I guess, more of a bet on yourself?
It was difficult. It was extremely difficult. And I think back now to the conversations I had at that time, and it was a lot. It was a lot. Like, the decision was really close. And I remember one specific conversation I had with this coach that really wanted me to come to a school. And I remember when I had told him that I was going to decline and try to walk on at Pitt. And I remember how he told me, it's going to be a big mistake. And, if I came to his school, it'd be the best decision ever. And, things wouldn't work out if I came to Pitt and all this stuff. And, it was really like, it was hard at the time, especially not knowing like what was going to happen. But I just really just kind of knew that if I just worked hard, that everything would work out. I believe that even if I didn't get on the team my freshman year, I was going to keep trying. Like, that was my mindset, was like, just don't take no for an answer. So, once I decided to make that decision, I was trying to do whatever I could to make it happen.
Oh, and Coach pulled you aside yesterday. Did you have a feeling of what he was going to talk to you about? Were you surprised? Can you take us through that moment?
I feel like I definitely had a feeling. I think everybody kind of had a feeling, even my teammates. So when he pulled me aside, I was definitely excited. And he just, when he told me to sign the papers and everything, I was definitely excited. Something I've been working for forever. And then right afterwards, I went straight to my teammates, and it was great to share that moment with them.
I guess going even further back, how did the opportunity your freshman year here, how did the opportunity to be able to walk onto the team, how did that come about?
Wow. So it was, I know I had initially, my first contact, I think, was with Coach O'Toole. And I think I was able to run into him and just kind of explain my situation and tell him I wanted to be part of the team. At the time, he told me that he wasn't sure if there would be a walk-on tryout that year, but he could, take my number. And, if there was, he would let me know. And I think that year, I decided to go and start out as a practice player for the girls team, kind of just to get closer to the program. And then sometime, I think in probably September, I remember getting an email from Coach O'Toole, or maybe it was Coach Regan, that there was going to be a walk-on tryout. And that was really it. I went to the tryout, it went pretty well. And then probably a couple of weeks later, Coach O'Toole told me that I was instated to the team. And at that time, it was just as a practice player. So I wasn't really on the roster yet. So I was just, in practice, trying to help out with anything I could. And then I think it was over winter. It must have been winter break, I think, when I went home. And that was when I was at home, and they had called me back and told me they needed me to come back. And that was the whole process of how I got fully reinstated to the team. And yeah.
You've obviously you've played a lot of games with this team, gone through even more practices this season, played a lot of minutes, and I figured that dream of potentially being put on scholarship was always there for you. Was there ever doubt, or what points were there doubt that you could end up getting to this point, or were you pretty satisfied just even being on the team?
I think that I feel like my goal was always definitely to get on scholarship. That was one of my goals. But I think what my bigger goal was to really be a contributor to the team. I feel like once it's like always, once I get to a goal, it's always like, what's next? Like you never really get to enjoy it. So I feel like when I got on the team as a practice player, then it was like, all right, how do I fully get on the team? Then it was, okay, how can I get in the game? How can I play bigger minutes and just like that. But I feel like my goal was always to just be a contributor and actually be out there playing, like helping the team however I can. And I feel like that's the best part about it. But as far as the scholarship goes, I just kept working. I didn't really think too much about it. People would come to me and talk to me about it, ask me, if I'd been put on scholarship yet and all this stuff. But it was not something that I really worried about. I would just come in and try to work every day.
We had talked with. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead, Craig.
Oh no, Jeff. I've been hogging the time here, man. It's all you.
I wanted to ask you all about the Louisville game 10 days ago. That was such a crazy start. What are thoughts about that game, and how anxious are you for another shot just 10 days later?
Yeah, it definitely did get off to a crazy start. Obviously with all the foul calls and everything that was going on, but I feel like we moved past that, and I think we're just focusing on tomorrow. I think, we've had a couple good practices in a row. Everybody's really excited because I think it's a great opportunity to come out and, come back from our last game. So I think it'll be a good game, and I think we're all excited to play.
We had talked with Coach Capel a few days ago, and he was saying that, you're one of, as far as experience, as far as how long you've been in the program here, like you're one of the longest tenured guys on this team. How much have you had sort of a role as far as guidance or leadership goes, especially with there being so many new players on the team who are just in their first or second year here?
I feel like I've always kind of had that role, especially over the last couple of years. I feel like I'm not necessarily the most talkative person, but I feel like one thing I could always do is lead by example. And so I feel like that's one thing I definitely try to do, kind of just send the tone, whether it's drills or we're going live, just to come in, work hard, go hard. And that's really, I feel like the best thing I can do is lead by example and kind of get everybody going.
I was curious too, like what's the experience of being a walk-on like? Because we obviously only see the games here, and y'all put in so much work behind the scenes that nobody else sees. And for guys who start, who are on scholarship, they get the reward of like at least being able to kind of showcase things. You've obviously gotten to do that this year too, but those first 3 years with the program, like what's that experience of being a walk-on like, where you put in all the work, but you don't necessarily get some of the same rewards that come with it?
I would definitely say that it's tough. It's not easy. And I think the biggest word that would come to mind is you have to be mentally tough. Especially when you're working as hard as everybody else, and you maybe are not getting the same recognition or any recognition. And especially for someone in my case who, was working to, try to, have a bigger role on the team. And there are times when it looks like that's not going to happen. And so a lot of times I feel like it's really easy to just say, forget it. You know, let me just get through it. Let me get through my last couple of years and just kind of silk it. But I feel like the hardest thing is to be mentally tough enough to say, like, I'm gonna keep going. And I feel like that's easy to say. I feel like my freshman year, I knew that it wasn't gonna be easy, but by the time you're in year 3 and, you know, you're doing the same thing, it's like, you know, it kind of gets old, like you get tired of it. Like, but I feel like just being mentally tough enough, mentally strong enough to come in every single day with the same mindset, regardless of, you know, what's going on, regardless of, I think the other side of it that's pretty tough is the school part of it. You know, I could have maybe had an exam before practice, after practice, maybe I only slept a couple hours. You know, I'm still expected to come in just like everybody else and work hard every day, you know. So I feel like that's just with that mindset of mental toughness, and, you know, regardless of what's going on, just always bring your A game.
I guess you do have one more COVID year left. Is there any interest on your end in maybe coming back next season? Or, you know, I think you're a biomedical engineering major. Like, are you thinking that this is kind of it and you're going to move on and go in the next step with your career and your studies?
To be honest, I'm not really sure yet. I think it's a possibility. I know medical school is also something that's on my list at some point. So I'm not really sure the direction I'm going to go after this season, but it's definitely something I'll put some thought into in the next couple of months.
Is there any kind of medicine in particular that you're thinking of getting into?
I really like orthopedic surgery. So working with muscles, bones, all that stuff, I've really been interested in it. So I feel like that would probably be the route that I would take.
Well, I wanted to ask you about Oni and what yesterday was like to see him get the scholarship, and can you kind of describe the reaction of the guys? I know you've only been around him a short time.
Yeah, it was great. Like, you know, just to see his reaction, the reaction of the team, everyone was excited for him. He really deserves it. He's one of the most hardest working players we have on the team. He's a veteran, a senior, you know, he leads guys and he deserves it. You know, he embodies what it means to be a Pitt Panther. He works every day as hard as anyone else on the team. So, you know, it kind of was expected, really, but I'm really happy for him, you know.
Mo, this is your first year with Pitt, but, you know, how is it? What's the perspective of you? Like, how has he impacted you in such a short time? You seeing his work ethic? Like, what are some stories or some experiences where you're like, wow, that dude shows up every day?
You know, it's funny because even though it's my first year at Pitt, when I was back at Stony Brook, my best friend was a walk-on for that team too. You know, he worked just as hard. So, you know, I kind of see my best friend and the way they both work hard, you know, they make sacrifice plays and everything like that, you know. So just the fact that you got a guy like that who's coming in and giving everything he has to this program, you know, it should just push everyone else. And he does push everyone else, you know, vocally on the court, he huddles us together, you know, in moments we really need it. So he impacts everyone on the floor.
But what did you guys learn from the first Louisville game?
We learned a good amount, you know, honestly. The biggest thing I feel like was personnel. You know, we had a game plan, and I feel like in the first half we kind of followed that well, and in the second half we kind of missed a few assignments and everything, and that's what had them on their little run and everything like that. So, you know, that's what we really focused on these past 2 practices, taking the mistakes from the last game and going into this next game, you know, not trying to make those same mistakes, learning from it, and trying to come out this weekend with the win.
What are some of the biggest challenges, or I guess even advantages, of playing a team for the second time in like a 10-day span?
Well, I think the advantage is, you know, everybody's more comfortable because it isn't our first time playing them. So everyone kind of seen what everyone could do already. So guys are more comfortable. Guys, the team guys know, you know, where they can get certain shots. Obviously, you got to be ready for another team to adjust and try and take away shots. So it's a little bit of both. You know, it has advantages, but, you know, you still got to be ready to make adjustments because after that first time we played them, I'm pretty sure they're adjusting to us in certain ways too. So we got to be ready for that.
we were talking about O a little bit earlier, like for someone who sees him up close a lot, what as a player kind of defines him in your eyes? And I mean, how helpful has he been to this team this season where he's playing about 20 minutes a game?
I mean, he does everything, really. He makes hustle plays. Sometimes I literally spoke to him maybe 2 days ago. He's just really worried about doing anything he can to help, whether he has 3 points, 2 steals. He's not even worried about really filling up the stat sheet. He's just worrying about contributing any way he can, whether that's sacrificing his body, helping a guy out, even if it's just going out and just disrupting the other team's point guard, facilitating for us. He's just trying to fill any role he needs to help us.
Mo, early in the season, you kind of said a similar thing about yourself, just sort of trying to do anything you can to contribute to winning and contributing to what the team needs. And over the past month or so, it seems like that's been really taking a more prominent role offensively, taking a lot more threes, and just being a lot more aggressive overall. And I just wanted to ask you, when you came to Pitt from Stony Brook and envisioned your offensive role here, is this the type of role you envisioned yourself having, or has it been more, as you were saying early in the season, kind of adapting your role to fit what you believe your team needs?
No, yeah, I thought this was the offensive role I was going to have. We discussed this in my recruitment and everything like that, that throughout the summer and throughout the season, I was going to have to develop a jump shot to really help the team stretch the floor. And I feel like I've done that. And it's shown, in the past, I don't know, 4, 5, 6 games, my numbers have gone up. And not only does it help me, but, it helps everybody else on the team too. Me being able to stretch the floor gives the guards better lanes, being able to cut off the ball to help John, he's getting, he's dealing with double teams and everything like that, So I feel like it's still the same. Still doing what I have to do to help the team win. And, this is, I guess, a part of it.
How do you go about developing and improving as a shooter, Mo? I mean, obviously it's part of it, I figure, is through repetition. You try to get as many shots up as possible, but what else goes into that work?
Just little tweaks, really. I didn't make any major changes to my shots, but, just getting in with the coaches, like you said, a bunch of reps, making little tweaks where, how my body may be aligned to the rim and little tweaks just to kind of keep me more on balance. Balance was a big thing that we worked on, making sure I was always balanced when I caught the ball going up and landing and everything like that. So that wasn't really anything major. And then just having the confidence to know that when it goes up, it's going in. And if I miss one, the next one I take is going to go in too.
On the topic of confidence, I'm sure, the draw of playing in the ACC was definitely a factor in your decision to come to Pitt. The fact that you've had so much offensive success recently against ACC opponents, what does that do for your confidence?
Just like anybody else, the better they're playing, especially against the top competition, your confidence is going to go up. And the biggest thing I feel is to keep it consistent and not to cool down, just to keep it rolling. And then it becomes a norm. Like it kind of becomes something you expect of yourself. And I've been expecting this of myself. It's part of why I chose to come in and play on this level, because I always knew I could. But now to see it really, clicking and rolling together, it's becoming something I expected myself to go and do every game.
Well, how close do you guys think you are to clicking and being more consistent as a team overall?
We're right there. We're right there. And as you've seen with the games we had, 1-point losses, 2-point losses, really, I feel as if it's more just tweaking little things, really honing in on knowing personnel for the other team, knowing what works for us, knowing what doesn't work for us, playing within ourselves. And on the defensive end, that's where we're going to have our bread and butter. We got to really be able to be solid on the defensive end. And I feel like if we take care of everything that we need to take care of, we should have more wins than we have right now. And going forward, if we have that mentality, really doing what we're supposed to do out there on the floor, there's no reason why we should be able to grab a couple wins.